All right, guys, how are you? Second sound check. Make sure everybody can hear me still. We're good. This is good. Great. All right, so I got a question from Andrea. How do I get into Quizlets? I requested to access them. Okay, let's see. I did just approve somebody. Can you refresh to see if you were approved? Because I don't have any requests here. Nope. You're good? You're not good? Okay, you're good. Awesome. All right, perfect. So, Meredith, if you missed 3 classes, I'll let everybody know who qualifies or not for the exam. So, if you missed 3 classes, then you're not able to take the exam yet, okay? Unless you make up in the morning classes. So whatever chapters you did, try to make up in the morning classes so that you can take the exam, okay? All right. Make sure you guys don't send me message privately. It still shows here regardless. So it just makes it tougher for me because I have to switch from private to public. All right, let's get, I forgot YouTube Live. All right. All right, cool. So I'm gonna do a roll call to see who's here, and I see that Daphne already typing a question, so that's great. While you're typing the question, or 100 questions I know you might have, so I'm gonna do roll call. Let's see. I have Andrea, Perla, Catherine, Abanub. I have Stephen, Lena, Anthony, Meredith, Geraldine. Are you okay, Geraldine? Like looking up or something. Gil, what's up? Got Brian, Vanessa, Miss Anderson. I'm gonna call you Meal, okay? For the class. All right, cool. I got Daphne, Joseph, Gary, Sabrina. No couch again. All right. Peter, you got a lot of money right behind you. That's a whole lot of money. All right, so Peter lives at. We got Pedro, got Mina, Yusef, Myra, Tidy, and again Daphne. All right, cool. So if you guys have any questions, drop it now because today we're only going to handle 1 chapter. It's a long chapter, but it's a great chapter because it's closings, right? We're going to talk about making money. So it might be a tough chapter because it's long, but it's worth it. Daphne, start copying and pasting. All right, we're missing a lot of people today. What's going on? Is it Friday? We're patiently waiting. I see Vanessa. All right. All right, I know all of you just wait for Daphne to put in the questions, and I think, are you guys texting her like, hey, could you ask this for me? And she brings like 5 or 6 questions right away. I think that's what it is. All right, let's see. We got Carlos just joined us. What's up, Carlos? I thought I saw Heather joining as well. Yep, Heather's here. Cool. All right, so let's go over this. Please explain the difference between devisee and legatee. Different terms. Devisee just means that you left somebody. You devised in your will. You devised all your assets to somebody else, right? And whoever receives that assets is a devisee. So when we leave something, isn't that your legacy? What you worked for, that's what you leave. You pass it along to the heirs. So it's just another name for devisee. It's just devisee. It's in the will, and you got the legacy. Okay. All right, Flavio joined us. What's up, man? All right, what we got? Next question. Testate and testator. Okay, you have testate and we have intestate. So that means you have a will or you don't. The word testate means you died having a last will and testament. If it was intestate, then it was without a last will and testament. Okay, the testator is the one that creates. Every time you see OR, usually it's the creator of the document or the owner of the document. So the person that's preparing the will is the devisor or testator. Okay, same thing. Okay, just 1 second. All right, next. We got Carrie in the morning, Carrie in the evening. That's perfect. You just join in the crowd. That's what you want. Join the crowd. All right. Again, so to address this part right here, Daphne, you don't create the will. The testate means you have a will. Testator is the one that makes the will, or devisor devises the assets. Okay. What's a descent? Descent is who survives you. So it's the law of descent and distribution. Is when you die, you are the descendant, the person that died, right? And descent is who's after, so who survives you are the descendants. Okay, so the law of descent and distribution says, as we went over yesterday, is if you die, then goes first to your spouse. If you have children, then it goes to the spouse and to the children. If you have parents, the spouse and parents, and so on. So those are the descendants of your tree, let's say. Okay. How does the land get transferred through erosion? So here, number 4, how does the land get transferred through erosion? It's not, see, involuntary alienation, which is this, it's not transferring the land, it's taking of land. So alienation is somebody else taking over. In this case, nature took it from you, so you're losing land, and it's involuntarily because you didn't ask for it, right? So you're losing land, erosion. Accretion, you gain land. So there's a transfer of lands to your property. In this case, erosion is transfer land away from your property. All right? And then quit claim deeds. What do you want me to explain about quit claim deed? That's like very, hey, quit claim deed. Carrie, my state exam coming up soon. I'm nervous. Don't be. Don't be nervous. That's the way you fail, is when you start getting nervous, start getting overwhelmed. Relax. Enjoy the process. Have fun. Right? And then you pass. Simple. But yeah, participate as much as you can, because that will definitely help. What is, okay, the quit claim deeds, what is it in simpler terms? Okay. So, quitclaim deed, what is it? Simple terms. Ready? Look at me, Daphne. You quit the claim you have against the property. That's why it's called quitclaim deed. So you're pretty much giving up, you're quitting or giving up your interest. Okay? So for instance, let's say that you own property, you own it 100%. So 100% for Daphne. And Daphne, don't start asking questions in the third person, okay? Don't go like, what does Daphne get after all? All right? So I'm talking about you, Daphne, okay? So you're 100% owner, Daphne, right? But then, and I'm sorry, I don't know if you are, if you're not, it's just for the example, but then you get married, okay? And I'm going to pair you the person that's right next to you. So Joe, you're married to Daphne right now, okay? And then I'll divorce you guys, don't worry, I'm powerful like that. So, got Joe, right? You married Joe. What is one of the things that happens usually in the marriage? Usually we join forces. That's what a marriage is, right? So Joe, being very smart because you have a $1 million asset, Joe says, hey, baby, I love you. Do you love me? All right, great. Can you put me on the deed? Right? We're joining forces, so add me to the deed. All right. So what's happening is, Daphne, you were 100% owner. For transfers within family, right? So in this case with Joe, because Joe is your husband, for transfers within family, you're going to quit a percentage of your ownership. Because you're splitting with Joe, Joe gets 50% that you quit claim to, that you gave up. So now you have 50% ownership, Joe has 50% ownership. You used to have 100%, but you quit 50% claim to it. Does that make sense? So quitclaim deed technically is you giving up ownership. All right? But so are all other deeds, right? All other deeds are the same. The thing about quitclaim deed is that there's no promises or guarantees. See, Joe says, oh, $1 million house, right? But Joe did not see that Daphne has $1.2 million debt against the house. So how much does Joe get? He gets debt, right? So the problem with the quitclaim deed versus the other deeds is that you're really not transferring 100% ownership. You're transferring whatever ownership, if any, exists. So Joe might have just acquired debt. Does that make sense? That's what it was. Quitclaim deed. You quit a portion of your interest to somebody else or all of your interest. Because if now, Daphne and Joe, your kids, you got married, now you got a kid, and your kid is right next to you. Okay, right below you we have Flavio. Yep, Flavio, you're Daphne and Joe's baby right now. So you're right underneath in my screen. You're a little pale to be their baby, but hey, happens. I got dark kids anyway, so you never know. So, Flavio, you are the baby. Guess what? They are about to quit their 50% each, so Flavio now has 100% ownership. He's the sole owner. They gave Flavio the property on the day of his marriage. Boom. There you go, Flavio. They quit claim what they had to you. You happy now? Yeah? His eyes went like, before when I said the baby, he goes like, now he goes like, oh, makes sense. All right, give it to me. That's what it is. So, Daphne, does that help? Does that help explaining quitclaim deed? Any further questions on it? Anybody else? No? Cool. Carrie, thank you so much. I'm glad that I'm helping you, and hopefully you'll pass the first try. Let's do it. All right. Steven is sleeping. Yeah, I know. That's why we don't quit any claims to him. He gets no property at all. All right, let's see. The other question you had was, what's a cloud? Okay, so especially during spring, winter time, and autumn, there's these things that form in the air, and then there's rains, and there's those are clouds, right? In real estate, when we're talking about cloud, we're talking about something that covers, so it's not a clear title, it's something that covers the property or title, right? So if it's a clouded title, right, means that there's something stopping it from being transferred, stopping it from having a full value, for instance. All right? So when we're thinking about cloud, remember, during winter time, during spring when it's heavy rains, like we just had a good day and then all of a sudden heavy rains. During summer, you guys know that we had heavy rains not too long ago. It stops you from having the ability to enjoy your property. That's what we're saying. Stops you from having the ability to easily transfer the property. It's a clouded title. You need to fix the issues, or if they're unfixable, then the value also decreases. You got it? That's what cloud title is. We're going to talk about that in a second, actually. Okay. Steven says he's listening. Got a headache. Okay. Yeah, those drinks the other days that you were drinking, like Monday, Tuesday, that's tough. It's called hangover. Joe, I didn't forget. I'm just letting you guys enjoy it a little bit longer, right? I still have you on my screen. Look, I still got you guys married. I did not divorce you. I know. Flavio's still not up for adoption. I know. Don't worry about it. I'll let you know when I get rid of you guys. All right, looks like you got more people. Let's go over roll call again. Andrea, Perla, no, okay, there you go. I thought I had a door. Catherine, Abanub, Stephen on the phone with a headache, hangover, Lena, Anthony, Meredith, Geraldine, Brian, Vanessa, Daphne, Joseph, Gary, Gil, Carlos, Flavio, Heather, Jane, Neil, Chad, Jacqueline, you made it. Okay, cool. Sarah, Sabrina, Mina, Youssef, Peter, Millionaire Next Exit. Okay. Linda, all right. Ines is there too. Yamili, David Gonzalez is in the dark. And boom, boom, boom. That's it. Okay. Mina, you have problems with your watch? Oh, okay. All right. So, let's see what we got. I'm going to keep you guys here for now. And since there's no other questions, we already addressed 6 questions from Daphne. Time is now up for questions. We're going to go straight to the chapter. So, public records, titles, and closings. Now, this is the cool thing. We're at the end, right? Tomorrow we got math, but we're at the end of the evening session. And how do we end this? Pretty much with closings, with making money. Tomorrow you'll figure out how to calculate your money, but we close today. Good? Don't forget to take advantage of the morning classes if you can until you take the exam. Definitely join as many classes as you can, or keep reviewing or going over the resources, okay? So, public records. So we're going to start with, you get your 10%. That's right, Chad. He's been trying to get 10% commission. Recording acts. So my first question before we go anywhere, and I want you guys to drop it in the chat, is why do we record stuff into public records? Give me your, whatever you feel like it's the reason, right? You don't have to read, or just throw something, okay? Why do we put stuff in public records? Title searches for proof, history, security, proof for resources on the property, chain of title, public access, proof, background history, okay. Proof, legal reasons, okay. History. If anything legal comes up, we got paper trail, okay. Anything else? Got 34 people, come on. Owner's history, okay. For proof, okay. Anybody else? All right, cool. So here's the thing. The reason why we put stuff into public records, if you guys remember from like years and years ago, there was no public records. You maybe watched it in the movies. One of the things that people used to do when they conquered land, when they discovered land, one of the things they used to do is what? Put a flag and say, hey, I'm here. I was the first one. This is now our land, right? That means we got here, we first. Very important. Why do we put stuff in public records? To establish your presence in a particular property. Now, if it's a mortgage, for instance, it's recorded to establish the bank's interest in the property, right? If it's a tenant, they might record the lease to establish their presence as a tenant in the event of foreclosure, for instance. So yeah, it's for proof, it's for legal reasons, it's to establish some type of interest or power in the event that something happens. Does that make sense? So stuff goes into public records, so there is, just like Gary said here, some type of paper trail. Very good. So, state legislature has passed laws that allow owners or parties interested in real estate to record or file in public records all documents affecting their interest in the real estate, to give legal, public, and constructive notice to the world of their interest or benefits. It's not a bomb, is it? 301? I told you, Unit 301. Okay, and I don't see Nicole is on, so did you send Nicole here with another ice cream so I don't give class tomorrow? Delivery driver. She's trying to redeem herself from yesterday. That's right. That is right. He's on the 3rd floor looking for you. Great. Hold on. Yeah, make sure it's non-dairy, please. Yeah. So this is all remote. I just want to let you guys know that I'm right now in Japan. So, sorry. I already sent a message to Pedro. He's checking out. Imagine having the school right at the door. That would be really bad. I'm here yelling, and then somebody shows up. Okay, he's saying that there's nobody there. You gonna make me go there? All right, Steven, you got instructions for you as well. All right, give me 1 second because Pedro is lost too. He says there's nobody there. Give me 1 second. You hear him? Who, Pedro? Okay, so he found him. I don't know, Steven. Check WhatsApp. All right. Aw, thanks, Heather. And Chad. Appreciate it. Thank you so much. And everything you sent me. I did not check that video yet, but I'll check it out definitely. I really appreciate it. Ha! Really? I didn't get it, but I got a picture of it. Hold on. I'm sending to you guys right now so you see what I just got. Now, do I look that googly? You guys are seeing it, the ice cream cake? Anyway. You didn't get any? It's 18 Oliver Street, Suite 301, 3rd floor. Come help me. I need it. Okay? Again, thank you so much. I appreciate it. It's going to disappear in 2 seconds during the break. All right. So, whoever's watching on YouTube, they're completely lost. What's going on? So I just got ice cream cake, so you guys know. With googly eyes and a nose and a little hair. I guess that was me, the caricature, right? That's what it is. All right, so let's go back to this, or not, because it's coming here. You're bringing? Nobody needs to see it. They want to see it. Come on. I don't know how much they're gonna see, but. All right, I don't know if you guys can see it without me dropping this. There you go. Right? Looks like me. All right. So anyway, thank you so much. I appreciate it. There goes my diet. I was about to lose 20 pounds and I just gained some. That's what it is. All right, guys. Carrie says she's jealous. So is everybody else. All right, so back to this. All right, so on next page, we are on page 281. So necessity, that's right, Heidi, I won't. Necessity for recording. Why do we need to record stuff? I already addressed that. It's pretty much to show they have priority in, are you okay, Peter? Where are you going? Huh? You need tape? The camera's here, nobody's seeing you, don't worry. He's like bending over, trying to get away from it. What was the page? We're on page 281. So again, I did mention right here, it's for priority, right? Now, all written instruments affecting the title to real property may be recorded in public record of the county in which the real estate is located, which then gives constructive notice to the world of their existence. To be eligible for recording, an instrument or document, because every time we see instrument is the tool that's used for a particular purpose, right? In this case, it's a document, right? So a document must be acknowledged. If you want to put it into public records, it must be acknowledged. What does it mean to be acknowledged? Notarized or proved to be authentic before an authorized official, as we discussed yesterday, right? Now, in addition, the words prepared by, followed by the name of the person who prepared the document, must be included on the document or following the acknowledgement. So what we're saying here is that if you prepare it, don't forget to put you were the one that prepared it. Very, very important. Not only notarize, but also make sure you put the words prepared by. Now, notice right here. What is notice? Notice is warning, right? Every time you give a notice is a warning. It's a disclosure, right? So relying on the maxim of caveat emptor, which means let the buyer beware, the courts charge a prospective real estate buyer or mortgagee, the lender, with the responsibility of inspecting the property and searching the public records to ascertain the interests of other parties. Now, constructive notice assumes that the information is available, therefore the buyer is responsible for learning it. So what we're trying to say here is very simple. I have here a piece of paper, right? 3 pieces of paper. I'm going to put this into public records. Now, you guys don't know what I have here, right? I mean, you know because I've told you, most of you. But let's say I'll put this into public records. The moment I do, it's public, so it's available, right? So now this is called constructive notice. It's information that is available. If you guys need to find the law about something, you go on Google, right? Information is available. Can you say, oh, I didn't know? You cannot, because it was available. You just didn't research. So what we're trying to say is that constructive notice is different from actual notice. See, I have actual notice because I have read this. I know it's here. If you guys go into public records and say, hey, I need to pull records on property such and such, and you pull those records and now you see it, you will have actual notice. So whoever researches has actual notice. Right? You guys good so far? Great. Because an individual is said to have actual notice of any information that he or she has direct knowledge. And in New Jersey, very important, in New Jersey, it is the duty of the purchaser to investigate the title of the property to be conveyed. So the buyer is the one that goes to public records and pulls information. What do I mean by this? The party of interest requests the information. Okay? So for instance, you'll have a title company. Title company pulls the information and provides it to you. The lender, the mortgage company, require a copy of that information. They will request it. It's not the seller's obligation to say, hey, I'm selling to you, Anthony. I'm selling it to you. Here's my info. No, it's not my obligation. You're the one that's interested in buying. This was recorded already. That's constructive notice. Anthony, when you go research on the property you want to buy, when you pull the title and you see it, Anthony, now you have actual notice. Does that make sense, guys? Okay, it's your obligation to do so. Sarah, is pulling title an expensive cost? Look, you can do it for free. I mean, you go there yourself and you just pay whatever the copy fee is, like 25 cents or something like that, right? Per page. Or you can hire a company to do it, or send somebody else to do it. If you hire a company, which is the best thing to do, like a title company, right? Then there's various fees. The company I use charges less than $100 to pull a preliminary title. Some companies charge $130, some companies charge $150, some $200. Every company is different. For a full title search will be a little bit more. But preliminary, less than 100. And because I pull information in bulk, I can get it for as low as $50, right? But that's the months that I'm taking a lot of info. Like if you want to go to auctions, or you want to go online auctions as well, short sales and stuff, as you're pulling info, or if you're trying to figure out values on a property or guesstimate, you pull a lot of info. So they'll charge as low as $50. And then there's the online title companies, the online ones that will charge you probably even less. But I like a local title company. Tends to be a little bit more accurate, especially when I deal with Newark that doesn't have online records. Okay, so I want to make sure I have somebody that comes here and pull information at the Essex County. All right, so who has the obligation to pull title? The buyer. Remember that, because it will be a question in the school or state exam. Okay. Not understanding your question, Crystal. What do you want me to tell you more about it? All right, here's another thing that we have as Crystal's typing. Look right here. It says the purchaser is held to constructive notice, meaning you know it's available, of any outstanding rights on the title that could be discovered by a diligent search, including possible rights of persons in physical possession of the property. Listen and pay attention to the question. Who, other than the owner or immediate family, who would have physical access or possession of the property? Those of you that were in my class this morning, you should know. Those of you that were in my class 3 weeks ago, you should know. Crystal, what website? I mean, there's different ones. There's auction.com, there's Hubzoo, there's Xome, Xome. There's a lot of them. Stephen, other than immediate family, who will be in possession, physical possession of, physical possession of the property. Carrie, not the lender. Meal, not the courts. Tenant, we're getting somewhere. Okay, hold on. I forgot to switch. Tenants could be in physical possession of the property, right? That's why they're tenants, right? Who else? Let me put some people to shame that were there this morning. Vanessa? Where's Andrea? Did she run away? Is she there? Oh, she's there. Okay, go ahead. All right, Peter, I don't see you. Bank, state, mortgagor, tax liens. Joseph, landlord is the owner traditionally, so no. Roommates. Squatters. Heather, great, squatters. Why? Because after 20 years, what can they do? They can claim the right to the property. So that's another one. So we got tenants, we got squatters. Who else? The bank is not in physical possession of the property, so no. Anybody remembers chapter 5? You should, chapter 5, right? Chapter 5 says what is real estate, and we talk about subsurface or mineral rights. We talk about air rights. We talk about water rights. Remember? Carrie? Easement and gross? Probably not, but you're getting close to another one. Andrea just writes land. Okay. Utility companies, that will be easement and gross, and utility companies have no physical possession of the property. They have a right to get into the property, but they don't have an interest in the property itself. Right here. How about the oil company that owns the right of the oil below? How about the gas company? How about air rights, so people that purchase the right to the view, right? How about water rights if you own part of the water? You guys understand? These could be additional entities or people that have physical possession of the property, because if it's an oil company, they're not going to remotely drill for oil, right? They're going to have to be there. A bank does not have physical possession of the property unless it's been foreclosed already. You got it? That's why a lender is not the correct answer, right? But we need to do a public search. Yep, take the public records. Do you have to sell it before? What do you mean? I lost you here. You have to sell it before? By the way, as you guys are typing, well, actually it's for Vanessa. Tea and cocoa. That's your recipe for a headache. I never had those two together, but hey, live and learn, right? Tea and cocoa. If grandma says, you guys remember Fannie Mae? Grandma says, we listen. They cannot be on the property without permission. Who cannot be on property without permission? So for instance, right here, those rights are transferable. So when you sell the property, it transfers those rights to the new owner. So when you're buying a property, you have to be aware of these other entities that might have interest or benefits in the property. Like tenants. Can you kick out tenants just because you're the new owner? No. So the same thing goes for the oil company that has mineral rights. The same thing goes for the next door neighbor that bought the air rights for you not to build above a certain height. So everything is going to be on the deed. And when you're buying, you should do the title search that shows the deed and anybody or anything else that has an interest against the property. Okay? So it's very important to do the title search for that reason. Okay? You guys good? Thumbs up? Great. Don't forget, any questions, just drop them in the chat. You imagined, I'm sorry, what? If the oil was undiscovered? Okay, so it doesn't matter. If the right was sold, then the company has a right to the property. They have physical access to the property no matter what. That we have to schedule for you to come in, that's a different story. But you have physical possession or physical rights to the property. Okay? You have a physical right to be on the property because of that potential oil that you purchased the rights to. Okay? Oh, yeah. I don't know. I thought I had another surprise now, like somebody else walking here. No, they're not going to show up there and say, hey, oil company here, open the door. No. But you will make an agreement with them. You have the right to drill for oil. This is your access. This is where you go, right? So let me know when you're coming so I can let you in, right? Or if there's enough room, the path is created for that purpose. And then they can go whenever they want, okay? I don't know if that's a good thing. Did you just call me a clown as well or no? All right. Next. Chad is showing up as a clown. All right, next we got chain of title. Guys, what is a chain? Can anybody tell me what a chain is? Chain. Links. Perfect. Right? Links. So, Gil is ahead of the game. So chain is links. It's what links one link to the other, right? So one points to another. So when we talk about chain of title, we're trying to figure out what links the present owner to the previous owner, to the one before that, to the one before that. If there's a link missing, let's say, in the chain, if there's a link missing in the chain, will I be able to pull it like this and not fall? No, because there's a link missing, it will automatically break, right? It will fall right away. So what we're trying to say here is very simple. If there's a link, then there's a link missing, then there's a gap in the chain. If there's a gap, then we don't have a true title. There's an issue that needs to be resolved, okay? So for instance, let's say we transferred, yeah, I'll address what you guys are writing. I have Carrie in YouTube said the same thing, which is incorrect right now, but I'll explain what it is. Same thing for Avanu and Gil. All right, so I'm not going to divorce these yet. Okay. All right, so let's say right here, what I'm going to do is today is July 29th, and I'm trying to purchase this property, right? But today, let's see. Today, Flavio is the owner, right? Didn't we just go over that? Flavio is the owner, right? Now, before Flavio, who was the owner? Joe and Daphne. Before that, who was the owner? Daphne. See, all these changes will show up on title. What about before Daphne? Who was there? Whoever was the previous owner. Does that make sense? But let's imagine this. Let's imagine that Joe and Daphne exist, but they never recorded that instance of the deed. Okay? If they never recorded, what's happening here? There's a gap, right? And that gap right here, that gap is enough for me not to be able to buy from Flavio, because who's Joe and Daphne? Where's that deed? What happened? Right? You start questioning things. Flavio, can you really sell the property? You guys understand? So he might not be able to, because he might not be the owner. Where did that come from? To have a proper title, there has to be all the links there. So we have to make sure that this was recorded. Let's say this was in June 1st of 1999. This was March 21st of 1997, and so on, right? So there cannot be a gap. There cannot be anything missing. So there has to be a record of every single ownership, right? And that's what will be the title, okay? So Carrie just wrote, so it's not the history of owners of the property. I'm going to get there. History is not a summary. She wrote summary. Gil, you're talking about abstract. It's a little different. History of ownership and summary or abstract are two different things. I'm going to talk about that in a second. Okay? History shows what links one to the other, to the other, to the other. You got it? Okay? All right. So now that we got this out of the way, this example. All right, Joe was begging for it before, so let me do this. Joe, you're out of the picture. You're divorced. All right. So I just freed up Daphne as well. And Flavio's up for adoption if anybody wants. Okay? That's it. By the way, Flavio, this is the request of your father, Joe. He's the one that said it. Hey, I'm not divorced, and you didn't give him up for adoption yet. All right. What a nice father, right? All right, so let's go back here. Now it says right here that a quitclaim deed is commonly used to bridge such gaps. All right. So if we were to correct that gap where Daphne transferred to Daphne and Joe, and Joe transferred to Joe and Daphne transferred to Flavio, we would have to record a quit claim deed where Daphne is giving up to, again, to be able to record it, Daphne is giving up to Daphne and Joe, and then another one. Even though it already exists, we have to recreate the history. That's pretty much what it is. Sometimes you might have to do what's called a suit to quiet title. So if you don't have the people available to record the quit claim deed, right? Let's say Joe ran away, because that's what he just asked, right? You're going to do great in life, but Joe ran away, right? So now Daphne needs to record this. How are we going to do it? So Flavio can sell. How are we going to do it? We're going to go to court and say, Your Honor, yeah, it was me initially, got married, put my husband there, and then he disappeared, and we never recorded this when we transferred to our son, right? So this lawsuit will be asking the judge, it's a clouded title, it's a noisy title, there's a lot of issues, can you please quiet the title, meaning clear the issues? You guys got it? Cool. Now, page 282. Question. I want everybody to write this down on the chat. Evidence of title. Which document proves title? Which documents prove title? Write it down in the chat. Ownership deed. I like the way he said it. Guys, make sure you switch your chat to public, please, because it still shows up anyway. All right. Well, I think YouTube is in agreement with you guys. Deed, and all that good stuff. So I'm just going to leave this right here for everybody. I mean, your guess was great. Everybody said deed, right? Wah, wah, wah. A deed is not proof of title, guys. Nope. 4 years teaching the same class. Predictable. Same answers all the time. Let me show you. A deed. What is a deed? A deed is just a document that transfers. Do you guys remember quitclaim deed? Quitclaim deed, if I don't have a right to the property and I transfer to you, what did you acquire? Nothing, so it doesn't prove title. How about warranty deed? Do you guys remember the history? That story that I gave you guys yesterday? I said that in a warranty deed, I can purchase the property from somebody that didn't even have the right to sell. Could be a fake John Smith. You guys remember? Right? We have 44,000 whatever John Smiths in the United States. Any of them could have stepped up and said, hey, I'm John Smith. Let me sell this guy's property because he's John Smith, right? Do you remember that? So a deed does not prove title. A deed just proves that a transfer occurred. That's all. You got it? Carrie says, ouch, that hurts. Yeah, I know. A lot of people fall on this one. Today was everybody. Not one. All right. So let's figure out how can we prove title. There's 4 methods to prove title. 4 methods. There's the abstract of title, in the attorney's opinion. There's the title insurance policy. There's the torrent certificate and certificate of title. These are the 4 ways that we can prove title. Okay? A deed just transfers. Does not prove title. Okay? Because a deed does not show the chain. A deed just says grantor, grantee. A deed does not say previous grantor, current grantor, future grantor. It does not show everything. That's why it's not proof of title. Got it? So, let's start with abstract. Now, Carrie, you wrote something before. And I told you to stop right there. Gil, you gave an answer before for Abanub, and that was incorrect. Okay? The word abstract of title, abstract means brief history or summary. Okay? Every time you see the word abstract or you see the word summary, means brief or condensed history of everything that has happened on this property. And this abstract includes everything that's in public records, including taxes, liens, not just deed transfers, includes everything that's against the property for the past 30, 40, 50, 60 years. Could even go beyond that if needed, right? So abstract of title or summary or brief history of the title shows all the instruments, again, documents, right? Appearing, I didn't get there yet, Vanessa. We'll get there. So appearing in the county records that affect the title to the parcel in question. That's right, Louis. All right. Now, when you pull an abstract or when you pull a history of records that are against the property, right? Do you think they should be in order? They should, right? In chronological order. That only makes sense. Because if not, if there's something missing, then obviously there's the gap in the abstract. If you don't put it in chronological order, we don't know what's missing or not. Okay? Now they're going to find taxes, judgments, special assessments, again, everything against the property. Now, what is an abstractor? An abstractor is just somebody that pulls records. You could be an abstractor. Go pull records. What you're going to do at the end is just put a summary that says, hey, this summary of events was taken from tax records, public records, records, wherever records. You're just going to put it, your summary of the summary. So it's like a report of where you got the information. And to the best of your knowledge, you pulled it correctly and it's in chronological order, nothing missing. But, does the abstractor give a legal opinion about the condition of the title? No. All an abstractor does is pull records, put them in order, create a summary, and then their certification of what they pulled. That's it. So the abstractor, what they will do is then give that information to the attorney. The seller's attorney will review to make sure everything is there, will pass it along to the buyer's attorney, who will examine the entire abstract. So the buyer's attorney is the one responsible for it. Okay? We have a problem though. The buyer's attorney is going to look at it and say, hey, appears to be okay. Go ahead and buy it. Okay? They're even going to put it in writing. But we have a problem. What is the problem here? It's an opinion, right? This is called attorney's opinion of title. What could go wrong with an opinion? Well, if I give you my opinion about the weather, about the housing market, my opinion about technology, my opinion about you guys, what could go wrong? It's just an opinion, right? But here, we have a problem. Because it's a professional, legal opinion. So what could go wrong? If it's incorrect, you can go after the attorney. Does that make sense? So the attorneys could get sued. What do you think, attorney, like when there's a potential for you to get sued, what do we usually do? What do we get? Anybody? If there's a chance that I will get sued, what should I get? Disclaimer. All right, some of you got it. Insurance. In this case, we're talking about title, so we created at this point, we created title insurance. Simple. So title insurance exists today to protect attorneys, right, from their legal opinion, to protect sellers, to protect buyers, to protect everybody in the transaction. But there's different types of title insurance. We're going to go over that in a second. So remember, every time you need to assign risk or you need to protect yourself, insurance is key. In this case, title insurance. That's right, Heather. Plane tickets out of the country. Yep. Depending on how bad it is, make sure you go to a country without extradition. So they don't bring you back. All right. Now, what is title insurance? Listen, we examined the abstract. Attorney has reviewed and gave legal opinion, right? And we agree to insure the title if any of these things are incorrect, right? That's what it is. So it's the same abstract and title and attorney's opinion, but now comes with an insurance that you pay for. Now, the company examines the title records, agrees to insure against certain undiscovered defects. A policy usually insures against defects that could be found in public records, like forged documents, documents of incompetent grantors, incorrect marital statements, and improperly delivered deeds. So if you guys remember, yesterday we talked about the grandson that showed up to purchase the property, right? So he had a deed, but it was improperly delivered. Because of the insurance, right? The whoever purchased, I'm sorry, he had a deed, right? Whoever purchased after, because the grandfather forgot that he had given to the grandson, and 2 years later sells to somebody else, right? The person that got it has an improperly delivered deed because it belongs to someone else, right? So if I get sued because somebody has superior title to mine and I did not know, keywords, did not know, right? The insurance company, the title company will protect me, the current owner, the one that purchased, not knowing that somebody else actually had the right to the property. Okay? What they do not insure is against any defects that are listed as, specifically listed as exceptions, right? For instance, unrecorded documents, unrecorded defects of which the policyholder has knowledge, rights of parties in possession, facts discoverable by a survey. So they will exclude right away certain things. Okay? They will cover most of it, but they will exclude some of it. If a claim pops up, the title insurance company agrees to defend or protect the title at their own expense. That's what you paid for, to have an attorney on staff, right? And to reimburse the policyholder up to the amount of the policy for damages sustained for any reason or by any reason not accepted. Okay, so whatever was not an exception, they will cover and you will recover your money. Okay, now there's different types of title insurance. As I mentioned earlier, we have the owner's title insurance policy, we have the mortgage title insurance policy, we have the lease title insurance policy, and so on. There's more, but these are three types of policies that are common. As the names indicate, each of these policies is issued to ensure specific interests of the current owner, of the mortgage holder, so the bank, and leasehold if it's a tenant that wants to, like a long-term tenant that wants to protect themselves, right? The mortgage title, as it says here, if it's mortgage, obviously ensures the lender that he has a valid first lien against the property. The title policy that's required by lenders ensures the lender's interest, but does not protect the owner. And it's always for the remaining amount due on the mortgage. Now, homeowners, pay attention to this. Which type of title insurance do you have on your property? Do you have an owner's title policy? Do you have a mortgage title policy? Or do you have both? Which one do you have? Let me know in the chat. Linda says mortgage. You already checked, so you know that's what it is. Okay. Sarah goes like none. I own a condo. So if you own a condo, don't you have a title? Don't you have a deed? You own it. So yeah. Oh, you don't know. Emily says mortgage owner. Lewis says owners. Lewis, are you sure? Anybody else? Vanessa just goes like, title. I'm asking what type of title insurance do you have? Is it mortgage or owners? Carrie just went, I don't know. And Lewis, why? Well, I said owners, but I really don't know. Millie says owner. Okay, are you sure? Vanessa says owners. You just asked your husband, really? Okay, I saw you asking something. Is that a Moscow Mule? That's what it looked like. What are you drinking? I have to double check. Okay. You don't know? All right, anyway, so moving forward. Ready? Ready? You should know. Guys, you should know what you have, because New Jersey law requires lenders to inform you about this. See, you are obligated, if you have financing against your property, you are obligated to have a title insurance. If you don't have financing, you don't have to have title insurance. But if you have financing, the lender requires a title policy. But do you think it's to protect you or to protect them? It's to protect them. So most likely what you have, guys, what you have right now, most likely is a mortgage title policy. And they told you about this. They told you this, right? Nobody remembers? They told you about it. Sarah. So like, I don't even know if I have title insurance. I have a condo. But they told you. Steven says, I do not own a house yet. Well, if I recall correctly, the first week I asked and you said owner, right? But then yes, the next week you agreed it was daddy's property. Got it. Anyway. Sarah says, what is my lawyer for? Very good question. What are lawyers for? Yeah, very good question. Anyway, so guys, they did tell you. You guys remember those like 20-some, those of you that went through a closing, there's like 20-something signatures you had to put on paper? Initials and stuff. Okay, one of them was the title insurance policy. And it says, the very first page, the cover page, says, this is a mortgage title insurance policy. You can, for an additional cost, get your own owner's policy. It was right there at closing. Right? They told you. The little slip there, yep. Lewis goes like, now that you mention it, he does ring a bell. Yep. Daphne, what is obligated to have, owners or mortgage title? If you have financing, the lender will require, so they force you to have mortgage title. Owner's title policy, it's for an additional charge. It's optional. Okay, but everybody should get it. It's only like probably another less than $1,000 on top. You're buying a $300,000, $400,000, $500,000, $600,000 house. What's another $1,000, right? Get it. Yep, Chad, I know. You sign and sign and sign, got a cramp in your hand, and you're like, hey, just give me the keys. Just give me the keys. I don't want to read anything else. Just give me the keys. Here's the check. Get out. I know. You get overwhelmed with the process, and you forget this stuff. All right? Now, here's the cool thing before you guys ask. Here's the cool thing about it. You can get an owner's title policy at any time. The difference is when you got a brand new deed, right? When it was brand new, when you just purchased the property, the title company would insure for anything that was prior to the deed, right? So if any surprise popped up, you were protected. The title company today will protect you from today on, subject to whatever happened between deed, right, and today. So they will put exceptions. If anything pops up that was between this period until today, we will not protect you. We'll protect you from now on. If anything shows up, we're covered. All right? I'm sorry, I'm lost, Gil. It says, why isn't house insurance mixed in with homeowner's policy? What do you mean? Sorry, I lost. House insurance is hazard insurance. It's if it burns down insurance, if it breaks down insurance, if you have to rebuild insurance, right? But the owner's title policy is protecting title only. So it's the transfer of title. If there's any stuff that's, if you have stuff that shows up on title, like unrecorded liens show up all of a sudden. That happened to me. I went to sell a property a few years ago and it had $16,000 lien against the property. I'm like, $16,000 lien from what? We went to check. It was against the previous owner. But they don't care. They just file stuff. They don't care if it's current or previous. It goes against the property, right? So it was against the previous owner. My title, I was not able to close, right away. My title company had to clear the issue, right, with whoever was there. They had to clear the issue, and then we're able to close. All right? So here's another thing to recommend to sellers. Pull a preliminary title before we move forward. Before there's an offer, let's figure out what you have. You got it? Because to me, it was a surprise. We're about to close, and all of a sudden, title company goes like, hey, Bruno, what is this? $16,000. I'm like, I don't know. Well, we need to correct it or no closing. You guys got it? So make sure you have it corrected before anything else. Crystal says, or asks, if you use a title company, do you still need a lawyer? So lawyers are not needed at all. Title companies are not needed at all. You can get the documents and record your own stuff. If there's a mortgage involved, they will request the title company to be present. Okay? If there's no mortgage involved, then they won't. Lawyers. Do you need lawyers? In the state of New Jersey, no, for nothing. Should you have one? Should you have title company? Should you have all these parties? The answer is yes, you should, because you want to be able to point the fingers at the professionals, right? Crystal, do you need a realtor to sell a house? The answer is no. Is it wise to get a professional to help you sell the house? The answer is yes. Does that make sense? Right? So that's where we get to. Should you get lawyers? Yeah. Yanessa, wasn't that supposed to be checked when you bought the house? Yeah, and you signed it. That's what it was. Absolutely. Everything's supposed to be checked. But what if something pops up later? What if something popped up after you checked? That's what the insurance is for. Crystal, how long is the coverage of the title insurance? Here's the good news. Ready? It's title, so it's against your title. So as long as you are the owner, that title policy covers you. When you sell the property, no longer your title, no longer coverage. Okay? So if you stay there for 100 years, guess what? Title covers for 100 years. Okay, hold on. I have to go back to the chat. Crystal, sometimes there's a lag in filings. Yep. Exactly. It could take 6 months for things to update. Yep. So I had a $16,000, not 60. Somebody sued the previous owner, but did not record it against the property. The list pendants, if you guys remember list pendants. And for that reason, this thing popped up later when they received the judgment. I was already the owner of the property, so it popped up later. And because they had a judgment, they went and put against in public records against the property. I did not know. So this reminds me to tell you guys, just like credit reports, check it regularly. Your credit report you should be constantly monitoring, because things pop up that's not even yours. As long as they match 2 or 3 things that are similar to you, like date of birth, maybe, address, maybe, first name sometimes, right? I have a friend of mine that he had a lien against this property. The only thing that was matching was his first name. They were the same first name, but the last name was incorrect. The other thing is that the town where the other guy lived was Brill, for instance. And the property was located on Brill Street. And that's how they filed it against his property. First name matched. There was Brill somewhere in the address, so we're going to file it against them. Somebody's going to pay us, right? If we did not pay attention to these details when we pull title, when we do title searches, right? If we don't pay attention to these details, he would have to pay for, I think his was like $3,000 or $4,000 that never belonged to him either. You guys understand? Pull credit, pull title, very, very important. You never know what's there. Okay? Got it? All right. Daphne, how much is what? Sorry, a little lost. How much is what? The title insurance? I don't know where you are. Where is Daphne? Okay. So title insurance. It depends. Every title company is different, but it's a percentage of the purchase. So let's say, just for presentation, let's say it's 1% of the purchase. So if you buy a $500,000 house, it's $5,000. I'm just putting a number out there. Okay? But that's for mortgage or initial policy. If it's a additional policy, it'll be like an additional $1,000 on top. So instead of 5, you pay 6, as an example. You don't pay $5,000 for mortgage title and $5,000 for owner's title. Okay? I already answered this to Crystal. It lasts for as long as you're the owner. That's why it's called title. You have the title. You hold the title. You are the owner. Yep. All right, next. All right, so the next one we have is Torrance certificate. You guys ready? Torrance certificate. Here's the good thing about Torrance certificate. There's going to be a question, if anything, that says all of these are evidences or proof of title in New Jersey except. Which one is not evidence or proof of title? Steven, you went way, way, way off. All you need to know is that in New Jersey, we don't use it. That's going to be the question, if anything. But I'll give you an extra point for effort. I like it. Oh, that was for Vanessa? Aw. All because of the tea and cocoa? All right. Next. Certificate of title. What is certificate of title? So we said before that we have abstract of title and attorney's opinion, right? That was the first one. Well, now we have certificate of title. It's the same thing minus the abstract. What was an abstract? Abstract is pulling records, correct? A history or condensed history of all the records. Here I'm telling you, no records, just attorney opinion. So no abstract is prepared. This is mainly for rural areas. Now, a lawyer's opinion of title is often oral or implied representing the representation. So the person, like I said earlier, who sustains damages by relying on it may look to the lawyer for satisfaction. So this is when you have like farmland, or you have areas that are remote or that still don't have public records. It's tough to figure out who was the previous owner or the one before that, right? So certificate of title. The attorney goes like, yep, it looks like it's been in your generation for 100 years. So yeah, good title, sell. That's it. We don't pull records, we don't anything. It's just oral opinion. So very, very risky. All right, Jane was kicked out, but I see you. Where is Jane? I see you. You came back? Oh, you just went for a stroll and now you're back. Okay, cool. I know, I'm just messing with you. All right, so good. I don't know. Sometimes it happens. Something like this. Yep. That was the Johnson farm and everybody knows. Right? Everyone knows everyone. All right, next. Marketable title. Marketable title. What is something that's marketable? Anybody? What is something that's marketable? Something that you can put on the market for sale, something that can be traded, something that can be exchanged, right? It's marketable. Yes. Okay, sellable. Sarah, did you just say me? You're marketable? I'm not even going to make a comment on that one. It's too early. It's 7 o'clock, so too early. All right. All right, so something that's sellable, something that's exchangeable, tradable, and all that. Marketable. Something that is good for sale, says Carrie. Great. Now, oh, I just noticed, Sarah, you're not even in the kitchen. Cool, not today? All right. All right, so it's marketable. So let me give you an example. What I use every year for this, or every session for this, is milk. It's not real estate, I know, but milk. If you guys go to the supermarket, right, and you want to buy milk, what is the first thing that you guys look at when you go buy milk? Before you answer, you already saw the brand that you want, right? And if it's 1%, 2%, or whatever, what is the next thing you guys look at? Wrong. So, expiration date is wrong. Nutrition facts, okay. Expiration date is wrong. Packaging, okay. Expiration date is wrong. If you guys put just date, yes. But if you put expiration date, that is incorrect. Best buys for electronics, Linda? We're talking about milk. Steven says, brand, I said already, beyond brand. We're like beyond. We found the brand. We found 1%, 2%, 3%, whatever, 10%. Chats, milk, so 10%, right? We got it. Right? How it looks. You look at how it looks in the jug. Some of them are not see-through, but anyway. Lactose free? Okay, cool. All right, so you already got all this. Lactose, oat, whatever it was. I wanted to get to this. Wrong, wrong, and wrong. A lot of people look at the expiration date. There's no expiration date. Makes two of us. Yet I'm going to have a bunch of ice cream right after. So If there's no class tomorrow, right? It was Nicole and now it's Heather and Chad's fault. Just saying. Thank you. Gil right there. Use by. Use by dates. The best by dates. I know what Linda was saying before. Best buy is not the best buy like purchase. It's usable as milk by that date. There's no expiration because milk does not expire. Milk transforms. And now you're probably thinking, what does that have to do with real estate? Well, let me ask you something. Milk transforms. What do we do as soon as the milk expires, as you guys call it? What are the things that we can do with the milk? Let me know. If you guys ever done it or know what you can do. Down the drain. Make cheese. Good. Okay. Pour it down the sink, seriously. Make cottage cheese, yogurt, buttermilk. Pour it out is the best. Okay. Cheese, coffee. Kill? Yeah, I'm with you on this one. Coffee? Anything but drinking it, correct. That's right. Lewis, yogurt. Carrie says, in Brazil, we make yogurt. Well, around the world, everybody does, and that's what I was trying to get at, actually, is that, guys, milk does not expire, it's just transformed, so you can use it for something else. All right? So let's go here. Marketable title. Okay? Understand one thing. Most people, like if you guys saw your answers, most people will not buy the milk after the date. Most people want the perfect drinkable milk, right? So that's what marketable title is. It's one that usually is so free from defects, right, that the buyer can be assured against having to defend title, meaning, hey, the milk is good, I don't have to come back, right? There's not going to be any issues, right? That's what it is. Just like there's buyers that want turnkey properties, meaning, give me the keys, I walk in, turn on the lights, everything's good, right? But guess what? There are some people that agree to the defects, right? There's some people that will buy the milk, they'll go to the supermarkets. This is the example I always give. The investors, they go to the supermarket and say, hey, supermarket, whatever milk is about to expire, if you're not selling anymore, do not throw it out. I'll buy all of it. Well, but it's not good. For me it is, because I'll make cheese out of it. And I'll double and triple my money. Yeah, it is, because I'll make cornbread, right? And I'll make money out of it. I'll make yogurt, and I'll make money out of it. Do you guys understand? Marketable title is you looking at it the way you guys just said. Milk has to be milk. No. It doesn't have to be milk. If you want to drink, it has to be milk. But if you want to eat, it could be yogurt. It could be cheese. It could be cornbread. You see what I'm saying, guys? You guys understand this? So this happens for title. This happens for houses that are destroyed. This happens to everything. There's always somebody willing to take the risk of something that's not seen the right way in the most people's eyes. Does that make sense? Somebody's always willing to take the risk. And yeah, absolutely. Look right here. Cheaper. You're going to buy that gallon of milk instead of $3 or $4. You're going to buy it for like less than $1. They're going to throw it out anyway. So I'll give you 50 cents for like 100 jugs of milk. 50 cents. You see what I'm saying? We're buying in bulk. You don't have to throw it out. You still make some money. For me, I'll go home, do something else with it. You guys got it? So, again, marketable title. I want you guys to write rotten milk. So you guys remember this story. All right. You trying to get... All right, Jane keeps on dropping. She's trying to get back into class. All right. So, rotten milk. You guys understood this, right? There's always an investor. There's always the people that don't want to take those risks. Always somebody. Okay. Closing the transaction. Just a few more things and then we're going to go into a quick break. Closing the transaction. Guys, who handles the closing? Do we handle the closing? No, we don't. Right? But we're supposed to know, right? A real estate specialist, you guys, are supposed to know how much the seller is going to get and how much the buyer must bring to the table. Right? We talked about this briefly on chapter 15, right? When we went over the LE, which is the loan estimate, and it shows cash to closing, right? And how much the seller will get. So it's our job, Perla, that's right. So it's our job to figure out who gets what in the transaction. Now, generally, at the closing of a real estate transaction, it involves the gathering of the interested parties, sellers and buyers, right? At which the promises made in the real estate sales contract are carried out. And that is, the deed is delivered in exchange for the price, the money. Now, in many or most sales transactions, there's actually two closings. Did you guys know that? There's two closings. If it's purchased cash, there's one closing. But if it's financed, as most transactions are, then there's the closing of the buyer's loan, where we're sitting there waiting for hours and hours and hours on end for the money to be wired from the bank to the escrow company, title company, buyer's attorney, whoever. As soon as the money reaches the account, then we have clear to close and we have the actual closing. You guys got it? So two closings, money being wired and everybody clears, and then the actual exchange. Questions here? Peter, questions? Go ahead. Don't pay attention in the last week. It's okay. Gil. All right. Now, as discussed in Chapter 11, the sales contract is the blueprint for completion of a real estate transaction. Okay? Great excuse, Peter. On your phone. You're taking notes on your phone. That's what you're trying to tell me. Gotcha. Anyway. So, at closing, you want to make sure the buyer wants to make sure that the seller is delivering good title, as we just talked about, and that the property is in the promised condition, like there's no damages, right? The seller wants to make sure that the buyer has enough money. That's all. Once this is agreed that everything is in order, what do? We close. We exchange documents, we exchange monies, everything is recorded, and everybody's happy. Move forward. So that's the actual closing. Now, the lender also wants to make sure things are in order. So they have an interest in closing. What is their interest at closing, or who must be present at closing, or what must be present at closing? Simple. Title insurance, we just talked about it. There's the fire and hazard or homeowners insurance we talked about. Surveys like termite or other inspection reports as well, right? CO if required by your town. Also, making sure they have a reserve or escrow for tax and insurance payments. And finally, having their own attorney review and represent them at the closing. Now, we don't see this. We don't see the bank's attorney there. But the bank's attorney communicates with title company and attorneys and makes sure that everything's in order before the actual closing. Okay? And everybody gets a copy of it. Homeowners insurance, you guys know what it is. So I'm going to skip that. Page 284. And it says New Jersey requirements. This was Chapter 9. You guys also know this. That you have to have, right, on 1 to 2 families, you have to have at least one properly installed carbon monoxide detector, right? As well as all the smoke alarms that we talked about, and at least one fire extinguisher per unit, like we spoke about, okay? This was Chapter 9. Federal Flood Insurance Program. If the property is in the flood zone, this is obvious. If it's in the flood zone, the lender will require flood insurance before proceeding. Easy. Talia, pay attention. I'm going to start calling you guys out. Make sure everybody's paying attention. If you guys are in class, kick everybody else out of the room. Just saying. It's for your sake. I already got my license. All right? It's for your sake. Kick everybody out of the room. Peter says, Abanub, it's his fault. He's pointing at him like, it's his fault. Yeah, I know. Make sure you blame him if something happens in the school exam. Okay? Neil, I see you have your finger up. Do you have a question? Oh, okay. I don't know if you're going to ask a question. Let's see. Perla, yeah. We already talked about flood insurance in listings. So for now, you can just ignore. Andrea says, I cannot kick everyone out of Barnes & Noble. Poor thing. At least Andrea is morning and evening and studying for college. Right? Going at it. Very good. Ignore the rest. Yeah. In class, also being a realtor's assistant. Thank you. RESPA. Do you guys remember RESPA? Not Vespa like the scooter. RESPA. R-E-S-P-A. RESPA is Real Estate Settlement Procedures Act. As soon as you see RESPA, remember the acronym, talks about settlement. This is closing. Settlement means closing. And when it comes to RESPA, we're talking about knowing all the closing or settlement costs. Lewis is saying, I always had a hard time remembering RESPA. I know. But usually in the state exam, either they write the whole thing or they ask you what the acronym means. It's one or the other. But RESPA, every time you hear RESPA, it's about settlement. Knowing how much the closing costs are. And this only applies for residential purchase. Notice that that's the only thing I have highlighted, guys. We talked about this in chapter 15. It's here again. Okay? It's here again. I'm going to address that, Louis, in a second. 1 second. But it's here again. The same way that I highlighted in chapter 15 is highlighted here. It's about knowing the settlement cost, the cost to close. Okay? Heather, that's a nice way to think about it. Instead of RESPA, think of resting. There you go. When you rest, you settle down. You close your eyes and sleep. I'm going to rest. I wish. All right. You thought of a spa? Not a bad idea. Not a bad idea. All right. Next, I already said this. RESPA regulations apply to transactions that involve new first mortgage loans, so it's only for the purchase, right? Only for purchase. Heather's trying to figure out ways. Let me show you here. So Louis, use one of these. It's either when you rest, you settle down. And since Perla thought of spa, right? Then Heather says when you rest spa, you're resting still, so you're settling. Or you reach the spa, you settle. There you go. You relax. I don't know. Whatever works. Guys, RESPA is settlement. Figure out a way. RESPA is settlement, so it's closing costs. But it only applies to purchases of residential Property. I have to figure out one for that. All right. Next. When the transaction is covered by the SPA, the following requirements must be met. Now, I want to point something out. Section 8. Section 8 is not Section 8 like the housing thing, right? Or the voucher. Section 8 is Section 8 of RESPA, of the Real Estate Settlement Procedures Act. Under Section 8 of RESPA, of Real Estate Settlement Procedures Act, it says that you cannot get kickbacks. What are kickbacks? Is I'm selling business to a loan officer and the loan officer gives me money. I send business to the title company sends me money. All right, so if you are not licensed in that particular field, you cannot get any type of kickback or unearned fees. Okay, that is illegal. Geraldine, I told you I charge more. 2 people on camera listening to this, I charge more. And he runs away. Nice husband, Vanessa. If you pass, tell your husband to rephrase it. When you pass, I will send you to the SPA. Okay? When, not if. Start changing that. Start owning it. When, not if. Heather, when you reach the SPA, you can settle and don't kick back. You relax and kick back usually, but okay. Peter, speak it into existence. Andrea, manifesting, yes. Oh, Vanessa, he said the way I said it? Okay, great. You're the one that's altering the things that your husband said. Those are grounds for divorce, I'll tell you right now. Steven says King Spa and Sauna and Palisades. Okay, sure. Lewis, there you go. I'm passing the test on August 7th. There you go. Manifested. Speak it into existence. This is happening. Guys, Lewis, he's watching on YouTube. He's going to pass the test on August 7th, the state exam. Okay? Cool. So back to this. We got Section 9. Section 9 of RESPA prohibits lenders or sellers from forcing the buyers or requiring the buyers to use a particular title insurance. So look, we can have a title insurance do a preliminary search as a seller. Can I force the buyer to use the title insurance? The answer is no. But most of the times, if you say, hey, we already did a preliminary title search, title companies are third parties, right? So can the buyer say, well, if you already did it, then sure, we'll use it. Yeah. But make sure you have the preliminary title regardless, okay? 9. Section 10 says lenders are not required to have escrow accounts. But if they do, they have a limit of how much money they can charge for escrow. What is escrow? Is I'm asking you to prepay a portion of the taxes and insurance into an escrow account in case something is wrong with taxes and insurance. So you're putting an escrow at closing, right? And then there's also the escrow that will go with your payment. So principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. Stephen has a question. All right. Hey, Peter, I know that's a t-shirt, but it looks like a hospital gown. Right? You know what I'm saying? When is RESPA used? Stephen is asking, when is RESPA used? At every single closing, there's going to be a few documents, which I was going to address. Lewis asked that before. I just ignored it for a second as I told him I was going to address later. But there's a document that shows what are the closing costs. and that's based on RESPA. You should have received an estimate of the closing costs in the beginning, and then you have the final closing costs. But we're going to talk about that. I'm going to show you in a second what it is, okay? So RESPA is just the act, right, that says you have to be aware of all the costs before closing and the day of the closing, okay? So the next thing we have is TILA and RESPA. Do you guys remember TILA? Not a TILA, TILA, T-I-L-A. Do you guys remember TILA? It's the Truth in Lending Act. It's where we have to have disclosures that you are entitled to compare the costs of the loan, right, with other lenders. If you guys remember pure interest, we talked about APR, annual percentage rate, right? That was TILA, Truth in Lending Act, that forces you to, excuse me, Tidy, can you get it on your camera? That's Emilia's camera. You distracted me right now. I was on the roll. Anyway, so so the Truth in Lending Act pretty much says, Regulation Z, if you guys remember from Chapter 15, pretty much says you are entitled to compare the costs of the loan with different lenders. So if this one charges you 5% interest and this one charges 5% interest, is it the same? And I told you no, because they might sell the loan, they might service the loan, they might do a bunch of other things with your loan. So the 5% could be 519 and this one could be 524 APR, which is the total cost of managing your loan or carrying your loan. You guys remember this? So the Truth in Lending Act, they force you to do this. Don't force you. They force the lenders to inform you of this, that you have the right to shop around. Now, now RESPA is settlement costs. We just talked about it. So before, we used to have different forms. We used to have HUD-1, right? So Louis, you had asked before. We used to have HUD-1, which is a settlement statement, right? And we had the preliminary HUD, which says, hey, it's going to cost you X amount of dollars to close. This is what we estimate, okay? And then we had a final HUD-1 at closing. We also have TILA disclosures, and we had the good faith estimate of the loan. So this was 3 different forms that the buyer had to be aware of, that the buyer needed to understand. So that was too much. In October 3rd of 2015, they merged the forms, and now we have integrated disclosures, TRID. They merged all the forms into one. And that one form in the beginning is called LE, loan estimate. At the end is called CD, closing disclosure. It's the same form, but with the final numbers. You guys got it? Give me a thumbs up if we're good so far. Okay, great. She has a bigger screen. All right. What else we got? So here we go. These are the forms. Used to be HUD-1, used to be GFE, and used to be TILA, or Truth in Lending. Okay, good. Now, under TRID rules, the lender is required to provide a 5-page closing disclosure, at least. You guys got to remember this from Chapter 15, right? At least 3 business days before closing, and we cannot close within 7 business days between the LE and the CD, or the closing, right? So we cannot close within 7 business days of receiving the LE. You guys remember we mentioned like 3 or 4 times at the end of Chapter 15, we repeated this over and over and over and over again? Okay? This is the closing disclosure. It's very similar, if you guys see it, it's very similar to the LE. You have the loan amount right here. You have the interest rate, the payments, if there's a prepayment penalty or not. principal interest, mortgage insurance, so PMI or MIP, tax insurance, so your total payment is this. So the buyer is aware of how much they're going to pay, right? Closing costs, how much it costs to close. This is based on RESPA, right? What are the closing costs total? And then cash to close. Cash to close is the remainder of the down payment plus closing costs. You guys remember this? The balance of the down payment, right? Plus closing costs. So this is the final number. We go to the closing table. You should have this money available. Okay? Good? What else is here? Pay attention, guys. What else is here? Probably the most important part in a closing, because nothing else matters, right? Does anybody see what else is in this document before we close? 3 business days before we close. Do you guys see it? Oh, I love Sarah. She went at it, commission, and then like, is that? You guys are awful. No, owner's title insurance, right? Owners, protected. No, I'm just kidding. It is the commission. All right, so right here, right here is the commission to the real estate brokers, seller side, buyer side, whatever. And then you get to verify if the commission is correct. So this document comes with all the costs of closing. Yep, Chad's 10% is right there. You guys got it? Yes, no, maybe? Make sure you guys read and go over LE in chapter 15 and CD in chapter 21, because in real life you should be able to explain to your clients what those fees are. Okay? We have here the recording fees, the transfer tax fees, everything is here. Cash needed to close and so on, right here. Cash needed to close. What else? How much they need to close and how much the seller gets is also here. So Mr. or Mrs. Seller, this is how much you're going to get. Boom. Got it? So all the details of the closing are going to be right here, including another thing that's there is you bought this property for $180,000, but at the end of the 30 years, you're going to pay $285,000 for this house, which is the purchase price, right, minus the down payment, so 162, the loan amount, plus interest. It's 285. So again, APR, if you guys remember, interest rate was 3.875, but the APR is 4.174 in this scenario. Lewis, no, I didn't go over that yet. It's coming up in a little bit. Yep, nice tip, right? 69% right there, 69.46%. It's a great tip. Gary, how wonderful another 65,000 would be right now, right? Okay, so everything is here, guys. Page 290. When the borrower receives the CD, they should compare to the LE, and there should be no changes. So the first document you got should have no changes compared to the second document or final document you got. If there are changes, then obviously it resets the 3 business days, if you guys remember. Okay? So some of the stuff I'm skipping because we talked about then. All right, guys? I'm gonna give you guys a quick break. It's 7:35. We will be back. So 10 minutes. 7:45. Okay. 10 minutes. We're gonna go into title procedure and then who pays what in the closing. Okay. Be back in a bit.